Retrieval practice can also be called the testing effect, and it's a highly effective way of studying. So this is the idea that instead of actually just rereading material, which a lot of people do, you want to try and pull it back from memory first. Now, the problem with just rereading material is that it feels fluid at the time. So it's in front of you, and obviously it feels like you remember it, but when it's taken away, you probably don't. Now, why does retrieval actually work? Well, retrieval might work because when you force your brain to actually remember something, you recreate the pattern in the network. So obviously memories aren't stored in a file drawer, they're stored across a network, distributed across neurons in your brain, and you want to actually recreate this pattern. And as well, you create more routes to the memory, because when you create this pattern, you're actually associating it with your current environment, physical and external environment. So this just gives you more cues to anchor the memory actually on. Now, it turns out that harder retrieval is more effective. So you don't want the information in front of you. You don't want to kind of half look at it or peek at it. You should perhaps just start with a blank piece of paper and just write down everything you remember about a topic. Or else possibly you could use an AI to do this. You could ask the AI to, if you set up a project on an AI like Claude or ChatGPT, you could just ask for 10 questions based on the material you're learning yesterday in the project in a new chat where you can see it. And then you can actually see what you remember. And you can get feedback off that, off the AI as well. Now, feedback is highly important because, again, when you use feedback, so when you identify what you don't know, this raises the effectiveness of retrieval practice, or the testing effect. So there's a metacognitive effect here as well, where you actually realize and you kind of code what you're not sure of. So it just tells you what you don't know. Now, it's very important that you eventually get to the point where you can retrieve most of what you actually want to remember, because there's another effect called the bifurcation effect. And it turns out if you can retrieve a memory, obviously you remember it better and remember it for longer. So it's very important to actually retrieve everything you need to know eventually, or build up to it. Retrieval practice tends to have a large effect size, so it's highly effective, and it's effective in a lot of areas, just like the spacing effect. So it can work for second language learning, factual learning. It doesn't seem to be as effective for maths learning, because again, that's more procedural. So mathematics tends to be like a more procedural skill where you actually have to work through it. Worked examples tend to be better for maths.